I'll tell you all my secrets.
Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Erin of Emerald Erin, and in today's video I want to show you how to make my latest sewing pattern, the Jordy Bralette. So the Jordy Bralette is a really classic triangle bra style. It has non-stretch cups and a wide comfy band. Pretty simple construction, so it's a really great project if you are a beginner wanting to get into bra making, but still has the nice details like adjustable straps and a hook and eye on the back, so it's going to have a more specific fit than, a really simple bralette. So one of the really nice things about the Jordy is that it comes with 3 different view options. The first one is the very classic lace overlay version, which is where you have kind of fabric underneath and this beautiful lace over top to give it kind of that floating lace look in the middle. The next option is a foam lined option, which is really great for every day, especially if you want a little bit more kind of coverage from it, and is super comfy. And the last option is just a really classic all fabric option. You can make it up in either lace like this, or you could make a really sheer all tulle version, or any non-stretched fabric that you want to use for the cup. And with this version, you can also use a Picot Plush elastic that folds in, or you can use the kind of classic look of the fold over elastic. So now that you know more about the Jordy, let's get into making it. So the first thing you're going to do is take your measurements to find your size. And you're going to start with your underbust measurement. You're going to measure right around your rib cage, directly under your bust. The second measurement is going to be your full bust measurement, and you want to go over the fullest point of your bust, and you don't want to pull this too tight. So now you're going to take those 2 measurements and you're going to find the difference between them. So for me, that's 37 inches minus 30 inches, which gives me 7 inches. And each inch represents 1 cup size, so you can find your cup size here. For me, that means an F cup. Next, we're going to find our band size, and this is super simple. You're just going to take your underbust measurement and you're going to round it to the closest even number, which is really easy for me because I'm already 30, which makes me a 30F. So now that you know your size, let's move on to the pattern pieces. The first set of pieces are the fabric pattern pieces. These include an inner and an outer cup. So on the pattern, you can see that I've marked the direction of stretch, which should help you know how to lay the pattern piece on your fabric, and notches to show where the cups line up when you're sewing them together. You'll also notice that this pattern has 1/4 inch seam allowances along that seam. So you want to sew it with the 1/4 inch, and along the bottom, it has a 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is where you're going to overlap it with the band to sew it to your band. You'll also notice that along the outside edge of the cup, I've included an elastic allowance, and I've included 3/8 of an inch because it's a very standard width for a Picot Plush elastic. So you'll want to use this elastic allowance if you are using a Picot Plush elastic, but you'll want to remove it if you're using a fold over elastic, and I'm going to show you how to do both of those things. Next, we have the lace pattern pieces, and these are the pieces that you're going to use to cut out your lace. If you're doing the lace overlay version, you can see how they sit over top of these fabric pattern pieces and how your lace is going to sit over top of them to do that version of the pattern, which is really cute. And the other pattern pieces that are included are the foam pattern pieces. And you can see these pattern pieces don't have any seam allowances or elastic allowances, and you're going to use them to cut out your foam pieces that you'll cover with fabric after. Now let's move along to the fabric, and I've cut out 3 versions of the pattern to show you some of the options that you have. The first is the classic all fabric version. You want to pick something non-stretch like lace or tulle or low stretch knit. I've chosen a non-stretch lace lined with tulle, and for this version I'm going to finish the cup with a Picot Plush elastic, so I've left the elastic allowance on. For the lace overlay version, I've removed the elastic allowances to finish the cup with fold over elastic, and I've used a double layer of tulle for the main fabric, and I've cut my lace using the lace pattern pieces to overlay on top. Then for the foam version, I've cut out the foam lining using the foam pattern pieces, which have no seam allowances or elastic allowances. So it will be finished with fold over elastic, and it will sew together flat. And for the fabric covering, I've used a bamboo jersey. I recommend using a fabric with some stretch to have a nice smooth cover over the cup. And I've cut out this jersey using the fabric pattern pieces with no elastic allowances because I'm going to be finishing this cup with fold over elastic as well. So the only difference between your foam pattern piece and your outer fabric pattern piece will be the 1/4 inch of seam allowance at the center of the cup. Sewing your cup together is a really easy part, but slightly different for each version. I'll start with the most basic, the all fabric. You want to sew your inner cup to your outer cup along the center seam with right sides together. I like to pin this together, treating the lining and the outer lace as one piece. Then you want to stitch with a straight stitch a 1/4 inch away from the edge. Next, you want to fold your seam allowances towards your outer cup and top stitch them down about 1/8 of an inch away from your seam. Then you can trim any excess fabric outside of that seam. The lace overlay version is very similar to the all fabric version with one extra step. First, you're going to sew the lace to the main fabric. You want to sew along the edge of the lace with a small zigzag stitch. Then you sew and top stitch your cup together just the same as the all fabric version. Finally, the foam version of the cup has a couple extra steps. First, you're going to sew your foam together by butting the pieces together at the seam and zigzagging. You want to make sure you're catching both pieces, and you'll see the cup coming together as you sew. Next, you're going to sew your outer fabric layer just like you did with the other versions. So you want it right sides together, and you want to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance and a straight stitch. Then you're going to top stitch it just like you did with the other cups. Then you're going to cover your foam with your fabric cover. I like to do this by folding both pieces along the center seam to find the midpoint and pinning them together there. Then you want to smooth the fabric cover over your foam with a little bit of tension to make it nice and smooth. You might have a couple spots where your fabric will overhang the foam. Once you have your fabric cover and your foam pinned together along the edges, I like to baste them together in place with a zigzag stitch and then trim off any excess fabric that's overhanging on the edges. Now that your cups are ready, let's move on to elastic, and here are the elastics that you're going to need. First, you need a band elastic. I like this wide plush elastic. It's 1 3/8 inch or 35 millimeters wide, and it's super soft. And to go along with your band elastic, you're going to need a hook and eye or a closure that matches the same width. Next, you're going to need strap elastic. I really like using this 1/2 inch strap elastic, but you can use whatever width you prefer. And you need to get a matching set of sliders and rings to go with it. The last elastic that you're going to need is an elastic to finish the edge of your cups. So I have two options here. First is this fold over elastic or folding elastic that folds down to be 3/8 of an inch wide. And the other type of elastic that you can use is a Picot Plush elastic, and I like a 3/8 inch elastic for this. The next step is finishing your cups with elastic, and first I'm going to show you how to apply a Picot Plush elastic to your fabric. And remember, if you're using this type of elastic, you want to make sure that you've included elastic allowance when you cut out your pattern pieces. You're going to sew the elastic to the edge of your inner cup first, and you want your cup facing up, so the right side facing up, and you want to line up your elastic to the edge of your fabric with the plush side of your elastic up and the picots facing in towards your cup. You want to start sewing your elastic 3/8 of an inch down from the top point of your cup, and this is to leave a little bit of space for the turnover of your elastic on the other side of your cup. So you're going to sew the elastic down with a small zigzag stitch, and you want to keep as close as you can to the picots of your elastic. Once you've sewn that down, you can flip it over and trim off any excess fabric from the back. Now you want to flip your elastic over towards the underside of your cup so that just the picots are sticking out. And you want to sew that down using the same zigzag stitch, and you want to keep towards that inside edge of your elastic to really secure it down. So now you can see there's a gap at the top of your cup where you can sew your elastic on the outside edge of your cup. You're going to sew using the same steps as you did on the inner cup. So you're going to sew with the plush side of your elastic up, picots facing in, zigzagging close to those picots again. When you get to the end, you want to leave a little tail of elastic about 1 inch long, and this is what you're going to use to sew your ring onto your cup. Then, just like the other cup, you want to trim away any excess fabric on the underside and fold it over. When you get to that top point, you're going to make sure that your elastic overlaps your other elastic from the inner cup so that it's nice and secure. And you want to do a little bit of a back stitch at this point. Then your cup is all ready to be put onto the band. So the other type of elastic that you can use to finish your cups is fold over elastic. To apply fold over elastic, you want to start with the wrong side of your cup facing up, and you're going to look at this little line in the center of your fold over elastic, and you want to line that up with the edge of your fabric. Just like with the other type of elastic, you're going to start on the edge of your inner cup, but this time you can start all the way at the top. Using a zigzag stitch and keeping towards the inside edge of the elastic, you want to sew all the way down to the bottom. And make sure that you have the right side of the elastic facing up. Then you're going to flip it over and trim any excess fabric that's outside of your zigzag stitch. Next, you're going to fold your elastic over the edge of the fabric, and you're going to stitch down close to that inside edge again with the zigzag stitch. You're going to do the exact same steps on the outer edge of your cup, and when you get to the top point of the cup, you want to overlap your fold over elastic from the inner cup and leave a little tail of elastic there to attach your strap. The next step is going to be sewing your cups to your band, and this step is going to be the same for all cups. After you've cut your band to the right length according to the measurement chart, you want to fold it in half to find the center point and mark the spot with a pin. You want to line the center of one of your cups up with that pin and overlap your cup and your band by 1/2 inch. Then pin your cup down along the band. Then with your second cup, you want to line it up at the center with your other cup so that they're touching right at the very center, and pin that cup down as well. And you want to make sure that you're maintaining a 1/2 inch overlap for the whole bottom of the cup. Once you have it all pinned and in place, you're going to take it to the sewing machine. I like to sew this step with the right side of the bralette facing up, and you want to sew with a zigzag stitch at the top edge of your band elastic where it's going to meet the cup. Start your stitches right at the edge of the cup and back stitch at the beginning, and then you also want to do a back stitch when you get to the center point where the cups join, and that's because there's a little bit of tension on the cups there, and you want to make sure that they're very secure. Then you'll want to do a second pass of stitching. This time you only need to backstitch at the beginning and the end of your stitches. The next step is working on the straps. So the first part of that is assembling your adjustable strap. You're going to do this by threading the end of your strap elastic through your slider, just like through a belt buckle. Then you're going to pinch that end of your strap elastic together and secure it down with a straight stitch, back stitching to make sure it's really secure. Then you want to thread the free end of your strap elastic through your ring and then thread it back through your slider again. And now you have an adjustable strap. And you want to make 2 of these, 1 for each side. Once you have your straps done, you're going to attach them to your bra, and at the top of your bra cup, this is where you're going to attach your ring. You want to thread your ring through the little tab of elastic that you've left at the top of your cup, and then fold that tab back down towards your cup and secure it with a pin. Then you're going to take the other end of your strap elastic and you're going to be sewing it to your band. I like to measure about 2 inches in from the edge of my band elastic to place my strap, but you can put them wherever you prefer. Make sure that when you're placing your strap elastic, you don't have it twisted or warped or anything. You want to make sure that it's nice and straight and it's not going to have any twists in there for you. And you also want your strap elastic to go all the way to the bottom of your band. When you have it where you want it, you can pin that in place. Next, we're going to be pinning your hook and eye to the back of the bralette band. I find it's easiest to do this when you've laid out your bralette just how it's going to be, so you don't get any of the parts twisted and you remember exactly which side is supposed to be hooks and which side is supposed to be eyes. You want to make sure that your hooks are facing down and they are on the right side of your bralette band, and that your eyes are facing up and are on the left side of your bralette band. I find sometimes it's easiest to remember this when you kind of reach around your back and think about how you would do up your bra. Then you want to pin them in place. I like to pin the straps and the hook and eye in place all at the same time, because when you bring them to the sewing machine, they're all going to use the same straight stitch and it makes the whole process a little bit quicker. Now at the sewing machine, we're going to start with that first strap attachment, and you're going to sew through that little strap tab down through your cup, and you want to use a straight stitch and back stitch to make sure it's secure. I like to do a second row of stitching about 1/8 of an inch away from the first one, just to make sure that it's really secure and that you're not going to have any elastic fraying. Once you've done your stitches, you can trim off the extra strap tab that's left over. Next, you're going to sew your strap to the band of your bra, and I like to do this in 2 spots. You want to sew right at the bottom of your band, and then again right at the top of your band. This just makes sure that your strap is really secure and that it's not just pulling at the very bottom of your band, that you're actually getting a little bit more support from your strap. And for the final step, you're going to be sewing on your hook and eye. I like to do this with a small straight stitch, and you want to back stitch at the beginning and at the end of your stitch. You want to make sure that you keep really close to the edge of your hooks or your eyes, and sometimes with the hooks it's a little easier to do this by moving your needle over or even using a zipper foot. And there you go, you've done it. That was the final step. You have made a beautiful bralette. So now you know how to make your own Jordy bralette. If you have any more questions or comments about it, please leave them in the comment section down below and I'll answer as many as I can. If you want to buy the pattern, I have it available in my online shop along with kits with all of the fabrics that you saw in the video today. If you want a little bit more inspiration for making your Jordy, I filmed a lookbook where I show all of these different sets and how they look on me, and you'll see a lot of my dog Gibby too. So that will all be linked in the description box down below if you want to check that out. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a great day.